Good morning, everybody. Here it is, the 22nd of June, 2023, and I am in Minsk. Where else? And I'm by the tractor factory works. As a matter of fact, I'll show you this. Minsky Traktorny Zavod. If you see over there. And one thing about this area is I think this is possibly, whatever the street is, one of the only places that has the old streetcars still operating. There's one across the road. Here it comes. I can film it for you here. And as far as the tractors are concerned, this is one of the biggest things that Belarus exports. And of course, Africa is really big into getting tractors right now. There's thousands of tractors being sent to Africa for farming. That's one of the big contributions of this multipolar world from Belarus. And just because you see this building over there, I don't even know. I think that's possibly a cultural center. And there's other places as well too, but the factory is really many buildings around this area, many big buildings. And unfortunately, you see the grass. We did get some rain yesterday. Again, but there has been some rain in other parts of Belarus, but we haven't been getting so much of it here. And unfortunately, again, I show some workers here doing things. I don't know what they're doing, weeding, or that guy looks like he's on his, I don't know. Is he eating something? Well, heck, let's just walk over there. Something about Belarus, you know, public workers, policemen and everything. I believe they must tell these people that they have to be very friendly. So everybody is very friendly in Belarus. It is just amazing. Police and everything, very courteous. You probably hear much different, or you suspect much different from the West, but that's not the case. And everybody notices that. When you come over here, it's just incredible. They say thank you and all sorts of things. Much more civilized. I don't know what they're doing. Oh, maybe changing the light. It's some sort of a light. This is some side track here. Looks like they might have to pave it at some time. That's getting a little old. It's even blocked off. I don't know. Practically nobody walks here. They might have to reclaim it and make this grass here or something. It looks like it's never even used. But anyway, I'll just walk past this other part of the factory over here. And this is not necessarily a tourist type video. It's kind of like what Annie Akay does. Not so much Alex Christoforo. He speaks like 98% news and throws in about 2%, maybe some tourism and things like that. Annie Akay, I don't know, maybe it's 10% tourism type things. Me, it's going to be even more. Sorry about that. But as Alex Christoforo says, I can segue this into some other topics as far as the news is concerned. So I was watching something. I only watched a small part of it, but some of the leading statements, or what I want to make a comment on as far as what's going on in the world, collective West, but mostly, of course, Europe. And that's what this little podcast was about. It was about Europe. Somebody was getting interviewed, and his name was Phil Kelly. I believe he's a socialist type of person, but believe it or not, so is Jeffrey Sachs and Jackson Hinkle. I want to talk about him too. He considers himself communist, but not like the type of communism that we always were told or think about. So I'm kind of quite confused. I studied a little bit of it in university, but maybe I was just getting propagandized. So here we have some of the factory. Oh, is there something over here? Interesting. I'll show that to you. And I haven't been all over around here, of course, at all. I'll just show you some things. Matter of fact, I haven't been here at all on this side. I've only been on the other side. But what this guy was talking about, and the main statements or something, the biggest takeaway from this interview was this guy who says, this was done in Belfast, Ireland. I guess maybe he's from Belfast, Ireland. And he said, it's just like me and just like the rest of you, that he is amazed at, let me get up here closer. It's very interesting. I don't even know. Like I said, I'd struggle and I can only probably understand a certain portion of the Russian, but somebody else might be able to get a lot more of this. Maybe the sun is making this so you can't see what this is, a face of Lenin up here. Then there's a nice little park over here as well. Minsk Traktorzavod Center. Yes, but he was talking about Europe mostly, this guy named Phil Kelly. And he said that they're willing, which is very strange and like something that the rest of us are also asking about, is that Europe is willing to sacrifice itself for this strategic geopolitical game being led from the United States. They're sacrifice their own prosperity, their economic independence and well-being in order to facilitate the floundering geopolitical strategy from the United States. And no truer words have ever been spoken. And as I say, and you all know, we're all sitting here watching this in amazement, and we never thought this would ever happen. Look at this, a bronze Lenin. And a soldier or something walking by. Belarus. Probably militia. Look at this. The water stops when I come by. Incredible. What power. No, but we're watching all of this and all of us are sitting here in amazement and say, what in the heck is really going on? So it's like, how does this facilitate these goals of power by making yourself poor? Or is it just that these people are losing everything, somehow believing that this benefits the United States? And as I was saying in the last video, it's very odd that the United States has a different philosophy than, say, Russia and Belarus, that believe, or China, that believe you want to make your allies stronger. In other words, the word allies, you make your allies strong. How difficult is this to understand? Make your allies stronger, and it also strengthens you because they are your allies. But instead, you make your allies weaker, thinking maybe is that going to make you stronger? I don't know. I really don't. I always try to grasp my mind around what the heck is going on in the world, And of course, a lot of this I want to lead into this by talking about this recent speech by Robert F. Kennedy Jr. And he was talking about how the world should be getting along together, which is very good. A lot of people don't like Robert Kennedy Jr. and some call him a snake and all that. I really don't know. I don't know. I just want to talk about some of the things that I hear him say, and some of you will say that he said other things that of course will come out negatively for any sort of a way that we can get along together in the world. But anyway, a lot of what he was talking about was about the threat of, nuclear war. And he obviously talks a lot about his uncle, former president, John F. Kennedy, and how he was very much against any sort of nuclear exchanges and all whatnot. And it seems like Joe Biden is not really against that at all. And Trump is not, apparently not as much against it, of course, as Robert Kennedy and most of the rest of us. But obviously Putin is against it, but he knows that that's the realities of what the world is today. And it's very odd that I'm going to this nuclear contamination zone in approximately a week. Looks like somebody speaks English over there. Здравствуйте. Говорите по-английски?
No.
Oh, I thought, я думаю, ты служит my английский. So,
No.
yeah, okay. Yeah, you work here? Работа?
Работаю. Пресс-служба. Пресса. Пресса.
Пресса. Oh, пресса. Oh,
Yes.
я нет пресса, я YouTube
YouTube?
channel, yeah. It's маленький channel. Немного белорусские люди, много USA. США? Yeah.
США.
Yeah. So,
Good luck.
yeah, I'm just this nice area, so thank you. Bye-bye. До свидания. It's difficult to be thinking in different languages, so nice lady there. So, I should be talking about, some people say that I don't speak any Russian. I don't know that much. I have little, what do you call it? Looking, that's a German word. A lot of time when I'm trying to speak in Russian, I think of the German words, and I've even somehow mixed them in without even realizing it. In some other videos, I was speaking Russian and there's a German word kind of thrown in there. To me, every foreign language is German or something, because I learned German pretty well, at least in those old days, and I'm kind of losing the ability because I don't speak it so much anymore. Sometimes I don't think I can speak English anymore when you start thinking too much in Russian. I don't think in Russian yet, and see, that's the problem. I don't know enough words, and it's a lot different. So when you start to think in a language, so that's another thing, and I'm amazed at translators that know multiple languages. It's to be switching back and forth from one to the other. I have a hard time doing it with one language. So I don't know how it is in German. I'd have to go back to Germany and be there like at least a couple hours or maybe half a day or something, and and then I can probably speak a lot better. So still the ladies watching me over there. So what does it say? 1946. So I don't know. She said she's working for the press, apparently. Luckily, there's some words that are very similar in English, and you can kind of guess. And then there's some words that are similar to German. So you can kind of piece it together, and at least you can understand some things in Russian a little bit better. But when people start talking, it all sounds like one big huge word or something. You can't understand it. So. So, it looks like, I don't know, everybody looking over here at me. Maybe she's doing a tour group. Or tour groups, look at that. I should take a tour here, but I have to get something special in English. Here I have lost my train of thought. Where was I? Oh, talking about this nuclear exchange in some way, wasn't I? Threat of nuclear war, but like I was saying, my trip into this nuclear zone, it's just going to emphasize on what it's going to be like if we had something like this, with some sort of a um, any kind of a nuclear contamination, and if you have some sort of a war going, there's going to be huge areas with nuclear contamination. And everybody's even trying to, at least in the West, they're trying to forget about what happened just those weeks ago when Russia bombed some storage area, and that's apparently where a lot of these depleted uranium bombs sent for Ukraine to use against the Russians and to use against their own territory, by the way, they were stored. And yeah, that's another thing that I should be emphasizing this more, because it really pisses me off that Ukraine will gladly destroy their own country for the geopolitical goals of the United States. And that's not much different, if you think about it, from what Germany is doing. You know, go along with the sabotage of their own pipeline, the sabotage of their own industrial power. And I just can't get my head wrapped around it like most of the rest of you. So why do these people want to destroy their own countries, their own society, their own prosperity for the geopolitical goals led through the United States? And behind all this, of course, is probably some of these globalists. It's just, to me, it's, and for you, I know you are the same as I am. You just wonder what the heck is going on here. I mean, if you go back before at least September 11th, 2001, you would never expect that anything like this could ever go on. And it brings into question, well, what really happened on September 11th in 2001? And all this stuff is thrown in front of us to make us get confused about trying to come up with some sort of at least some sort of a guess on who did it, why they did it, and anything like that. And I think part of the answer, or at least part of the information, is that a lot of these globalists, these super rich multi-billionaire globalists, they have no real ties necessarily to the humanity of us people. They have their own group, and they see themselves separate from the rest of us, that we are nothing more than some kind of instruments or tools or chattel, and in effect they think that they own us, that we are all kind of enslaved to money, that we all need it to stay alive, pay our rent, get our food, and all that. And then you compare that to some of these leaders over here in these countries, such as Belarus. You could even look in Pakistan, or at least Imran Khan, maybe. You know, a lot of these people. And of course, to be politicians, you have to be a little bit different than the rest of us. The rest of us, you know, we want to take care of ourselves and our families and not do any harm to anybody else around us. And these leaders, they have to kind of shift gears a little bit, and they have to become loyal to their country, and do whatever is good for the country. And well, here come some Africans. Maybe I can speak English too. Здравствуйте. Huh?
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you speak English?
Sometimes.
Sometimes. Yeah. I'm American, and I'm a big fan of Africa too. I lived in the Caribbean.
Okay.
In
nice.
yeah, I wanted to go to Africa, but farming. I did coffee farmer, avocados, and
in Africa.
well, I did in the Caribbean, but I'd love to go to Africa and do that. So it's a little warmer down there. Here in the winter, it's like, a little bit too cold for me. So you guys work here?
Yes.
Or school? School?
Yes.
Okay, yeah, well, I'm glad. I heard Lukashenko. What country are you from?
From Cameroon. I'm from Congo.
Congo, Cameroon?
Cameroon, Congo also.
Cameroon, Congo. Okay, well, I'm glad that there's a lot of friendship now between Russia, Belarus, and Africa. And you guys are finally going to get away from the slavery of America and their agenda, you know. So glad to hear it.
Thank you.
Nice. Bye bye. Yes, and I was watching a podcast today as well, you know, from what's going on in Africa, and I think this person was from Zimbabwe, and they were very happy, and they said, what was his main goal, or main words that he was saying, you know, that they're getting out from under the United States and the West, and France, of course, is now crying they're losing Africa, and Macron, as you all know, he wants to go to the BRICS summit in South America. Anyway, you guys know a lot of this stuff. I shouldn't maybe have said some kind of slavery. It's just mostly exploitation. The United States is exploiting Africa, and of course so is everybody else. And of course that was one main reason that they wanted Obama in, the son of Africa. And look at what he did. You had, maybe you could call Gaddafi, at least could have called, past tense, the father of Africa. And then you had Obama, who gladly did whatever he did to get rid of Gaddafi with Hillary Clinton. Anyway, that's another topic, and it's in the past. But you guys all know what's going on. So if I talk too much about this, I'd probably get this video deleted. Anyhow. And Blinken, he just announced another $1.6 billion for Ukraine. The escalation escalator, no reverse gear, no brakes, just keep going, baby. Just keep on pushing. You know, it's kind of like I said the other day, it's like seeing things burning on both ends. It makes you wonder why, if the multipolar world is going to be making itself to get the majority of the candle before the neocon, neo-lib, neo-Nazis candle burns up most of the candle. The flame burns up most of the candle. We'll see what happens on that one. Boy, lots of stuff to see what's going on. But I think I'm thinking the multipolar world is actually going to win. Interesting times. Interesting times. And remember, this probably this 1.6 billion is probably part of the 6 billion that they magically found from an accounting error. You know, the Pentagon or whoever, I don't know who found that money. But I remember them talking about this. It's probably, I don't know, it seems like it was a month ago. They were talking about this accounting error. I don't know. And then now it's coming out in the news. Yes, but like I said, I'm going to get back to Robert Kennedy Jr. Jackson Hinkle, he put up most of this speech done by Robert Kennedy Jr. And I'm trying to remember the name of Jackson Hinkle's. It's The Dive, but I'm trying to think of what was the title. It said something like, "Watch this, trust me," or something like that. And it's very, very, lots of people are talking about this speech by Robert Kennedy Jr. Very good. And like I say about this nuclear stuff, he talked a lot about that, and it's fits in with my trip soon. I guess I should maybe reflect a little bit on that. I'm hoping that's going to go good. I have to stay overnight in a city called Babrusk in that area, because I don't think you can go directly from Minsk to this nuclear contamination site necessarily. It's not just that you just decide one day you're going to go there, or you decide even a couple days in advance. You can't just really go to this nuclear area, and you have to be led by scientists. The tour guide, I think, brings you there. Maybe they even go through, I don't know. And you have to be escorted by scientists. And in case I forget to say that, there's about 700 people that actually work there. They work in this contaminated zone, but nobody lives there, and nobody's allowed to stay there. You're not allowed to bring food there. And I think when you leave, you have to go through like Geiger counters and things like that to get tested. And I think they clean your shoes. You know, they didn't officially tell me that. I got that information from somewhere else. So luckily, I'll remember to bring some kind of shoes that can get wet. You know, if they're going to spray them, I don't know. Maybe they just spray some powder stuff on, or first they check to make sure you're not taking any plutonium home as a gift for somebody on your. I mean, I'm not I'm being sarcastic. I mean, somehow like a little particle might get stuck on your shoe or something. So they're just there to make sure that you don't do that. Nobody's going to bring it. Nobody's going to bring it home purposefully. But another topic, and I don't even know why, in what context I saw this, but I wrote it in my notes now. But I'm just, hearing. Maybe it was when I was watching something from John Mark Dougan. Oh, let me mention that first before I get too far. John Mark Dougan, he was getting filmed by Mike Jones from I Earl Grey. So I don't think Mike Jones has been taken down from YouTube or anything. I think he's maybe just not putting up videos at the moment because Masha was there and all that. So that's all right. And then also about Gonzalo Lira. I was saying that he was contacting me when it was very small messages and things like that, but I'm now highly suspecting that was just a fake. They have a strange, I got his address through writing to Gonzalo Lira and sent a WhatsApp. I don't even know how we got in contact that way, but we were WhatsApping, and the WhatsApp is called Gonzalo Lira, and asking me things like how long I've been watching his videos and things. That was at the very beginning. And then we wrote, sometimes, and then of course that's when, soon after that, I'm not saying it's anything to do with it, but soon after that is when they came and got him. And then when I was writing while he was in custody, I was getting small answers, very short, small answers. And I'm starting to think, I really don't know, maybe that's not even his site. Maybe I'm just getting scammed. Somebody calling themselves Gonzalo Lira, that I guess it could happen. Anything can happen nowadays, so yeah. But okay, now back to the topic. What I was going to say is that there's a lot of people here in Belarus and in Russia, at least. I mean, those are, I'm not so, how do I say it? Sure, I meet Russians and things, and I know how a lot of them think, and it's not anything like as extreme as for Belarusians. So there are differences. And but even it was like when I was stationed in Germany as a soldier, I would say that a lot of people in the world, and of course it was maybe justified in the past, they want to go to the United States. And here in Belarus, a lot of them still think that. And like I said, I was sent to Germany, I mean, in the military back in around 1985 or so at first. Not 84, 85. And of course I had been to Germany in 1972 as a kid before that time, and saw how very much Germany had prospered in that amount of time. And I've seen the same thing, like I said, over here in Belarus, because I was here in the year 2000, and how vastly prosperous it has become since that time. And there's still a lot of people, and somehow it's in their culture. Somehow they're culturized to want to go to the United States, thinking that it is better. And most of us know, a lot of you that of course speak English, been to the United States or live in the United States, you know how much the United States has been declining. It's gradually been declining and declining and declining. And you see things like tent cities, thousands and thousands, tens of thousands of people in America live in tent cities now all over the place. You have people that have decent jobs and they're still living in tent cities because everything has gotten so expensive in some certain areas. It depends on where you're going and maybe what you do. And look at the United States, what, $32 trillion in debt. And if you start looking at debt as negative wealth, you might even say if you take all the countries in the world and put a freeze on all of them, freeze, no incomes or anything, it's an undeniable fact that the United States is the poorest country on earth, if you look at it in that way, because they owe the most amount of money. Nice old. What does it say? Moskvich? Moskvich? Moskvich. Its neighbor is a Audi and a BMW. Wow. I don't know which one you'd choose. That's a nice looking little car though. Nice, very classical. But I don't really have much more to say. I would just start cautioning these people to start looking and reevaluating, you know, where you want to be. And you also have to think of trends. What is the trend? What is the trend? Is the trend your friend? You look at the trend of where is America going? Compare that to where is Russia going? Where is China going? And you can go into cities in China. What is it? Shenzhen? And Shenzhen, there is no city in America that comes close to that. Nothing that comes close to that city. You would look at America, you could find the most modern place in the United States and the most developed, the most modern, and you couldn't even compare it to Shenzhen. And there are many cities like that in China, and it's not really talked about. So, you know, that's where you find Huawei, DJI, and all of this. People sitting here on a bench. Let me see what this is here. Something to do with tractors. Well, really, that's about all I have to say. But I'm glad you joined me. Oh, look at this. They have a tour bus of some sorts. It says, written in English, by the way. I wonder if they have English tours. Let's see if I can film this. You know, over this brown grass. Hate to walk over this. Oops, maybe they're telling me get off the grass. What grass? Get off the weeds. Get off the dirt. I don't know if you can see that. It says Belarus tractors. See, we had rain. See the puddle? Anyway, I shouldn't be keeping you. Just subscribe, man. Just subscribe. Let me mention about that too. A lot of people have been telling me that they push the like button and YouTube doesn't accept it and try to make comments. And it's very obvious, and I've heard this for quite some time, that my channel is definitely suppressed. That's undeniable. And the only way that I can get viewers actually is if I go to other people's sites and make comments there. You know, other sites that are maybe like-minded and speak about the same sort of a deal. And I think it was Mike Jones actually. So he actually, I think, did some promotion for my channel at one point in time. So I have to express a debt of gratitude to Mike Jones. So, and I think all these people are very good people. You know, they wouldn't be talking about these subjects and care so much about the world as they do. They wouldn't be doing this. So, and you wouldn't be watching this unless you want to try to make sense of what is going on in the world and why everything is done the way it is. You talk about they put the computer chips in the brains, and we use COVID to further our agenda. And then you get some mad leader of some country. Hey, I want to buy some houses. Give me money. Give me money. I pay in blood. I send some Ukrainian blood to the fields. I will pay you, and you can watch them bleed. And you can send us some weapons. We can do some money laundering. You send some weapons and you take a big cut. I take a big cut. Send me some money. And then we can get the computer chips in the brains. Then you got now Baerbock and Ursula. You got these mad women The Wicked Witch of the North, the Wicked Witch of the West. There's a lot of the Wicked Witches of the West. I don't think we have any Wicked Witches in the East. Anyway, here I'm rambling, and the rest of you don't want to hear this, so I'll let you go, and make sure you subscribe if you haven't already, but there's not going to be any new people watching this. YouTube is going to make sure that no new people get to even look at this, unless maybe you're for the other side, you know, the thing. Okay, so thanks for joining me, and maybe in a day or so I come up with another one. And till that time, bye-bye.